All right, in this video, I'm gonna review and give my honest thoughts on this compact leg press. More specifically, it's a 3-in-1 compact leg press. 3-in-1 in the sense that you're upright, you can do the seated leg press, you can attach a calf raise block here to do calf raises, and then they have this little extension here which allows you to do hack squats. First time I tried one of these out was at the Force USA headquarters, which I will get to. These two units seem to be almost identical, and I'll mention that. But I wasn't really a fan, so I'll allude to that towards the end if that's still true or not. So the company that makes this one, Blazzed Fitness, which I heard some reviewers call them Blazzed Fitness, but I'm pretty sure it's Blaze, just to play on the word Blaze with an extra Z there. I digress. They reached out to me to do this review, and why I was really interested is because I have a lot of specialized leg machines. I'm trying to clear some house out and really justify, which ones kind of make sense. I know a lot of you guys are interested in this. Didn't think I really gave the other one really a fair shake, and I knew they did a really good job on their all-in-one trainer, which I'll link that video down below if you guys are curious. I thought I'd kind of give it a go and give you guys my honest thoughts about it. Gonna jump into it though. Timestamps are down below. If you want to save 5% off anything Blaze Fitness, Hybrid Resistance, we'll do that. Gonna be brutally honest though here as always. But at the very least, if you guys want to help support me, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, always greatly appreciated. We'll get up close here to the parts here in a second, but just touching on the unboxing and assembly process. This thing came in 2 large boxes. To be honest, I was not in the mood putting this thing together, but when I saw this thing was laid out in nice Lego step-by-step formatting, it was a fairly pleasant experience. It did not take too long, but it wasn't the shortest thing in the world. What I do to kind of pass the time is I just find some weird songs or albums I haven't listened to, and I made my way through the docking catalog and discovered I really like the album Tooth and Nail. If you guys are curious, check that out. So as I was assembling this, I started getting some deja vu of this thing looked and felt very similar to what I remember the Force USA compact leg press was like, and I believe they might have been the first ones. However, when I saw someone else doing their Force USA build and then seeing this and remembering that Blaze Fitness said they manufacture other companies, that was initially what they started to do before they started doing their own little branding here. I really starting to wonder if this is almost the exact same unit minus some little differences. I don't know for sure, but they are uncannily similar. Now I will flash the dimensions here on the screen, but of course this is the great thing about this is that it is so compact. My squat max, which is behind the camera here, usually goes right there. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that just yet. I got some other plans, but I do wanna show you when you compare this compact leg press to this 45-degree leg press, it's not like it is small, because it's gonna take up some space for sure, but this thing is just a legit beast, also a legit beast to put together. This thing is actually very lightweight, surprisingly. Now, something I will touch on that kind of caught my eye initially is that this thing has a little bit of a shakiness to it, which I'll touch on briefly. It doesn't really mess up the actual function of the machine, but it's definitely something you can notice. Even here, there's some shakiness and instability there. You don't notice it again when you're actually performing it. Other things though, just showing you guys some up close shots, you have this very large foot plate here. I think I saw the Body Solid review recently also by Coop, and he had touched on that, which is very true, is that some of these compact leg presses, while they don't have the actual 3-in-1 option, this foot plate can be very small, which is, I don't know why you'd actually even think about doing that, but this is actually very large, which is great. Then you have back here, you have the ability to kind of adjust this up and down. Now, something I will say that is kind of weird is that I'm not sure why they have this go so low, because as you can see here, there's not a whole lot of stuff you can do when this starts to go at this low setting. I found the best height setting is straight at 90 degrees for really pretty much every exercise. Now, if you notice, there are some other rungs here you can put it through. The best rung I like to do, now you can put, the very last one will do something kind of like that, where you're not quite at 90. But what I like to do is just, and I think it's probably totally fine, is go all the way up and let this sit on the pin so that you're at a full nice 90 degrees. I think, again, not for everybody, but I think for most people, that's gonna be the best setting you're gonna want. You got chrome collars here, which I appreciate. These are nothing totally substantial. It is kind of like a soft, whatever, rubber. Little handle here to adjust and rack it on the hooks right there when you're up high. And you have a little plastic loader to put on some weights that kind of counterbalance the machine. I shouldn't say counterbalance, just weights on the machine. Little minor band peg thing there, nothing really to write home about there. The welds and everything else, powder coating, seems for the most part fine. It is definitely a budget item, there's no question about that. Some stuff, like these things always have to come off all machines, but this one, There you go. It's kind of bumped out a little bit. You'll see minor scuffing. I saw some of that on the machine, nothing totally crazy. This one I noticed compared to the Force USA is a plastic, you know, pull pin. I think they had a metal, just to kind of compare the two. And they are pretty much exactly the same price point. I think they all offer 5% off too with coupon codes and stuff like that. Another key plus that I liked a lot. Now here's some other, you got some like paint spot or something there. Now one plus I do like a lot is that these seat cushions are super firm. So these aren't like some squishy thing. I found that you really couldn't even push in once. So I do like the cushioning on the seats. All right, now I'm just gonna turn this and show you the basic functions of the machine, but in doing so, I wanna show you just how light it is. It's no wheels or anything, but still relatively light for a machine this size. I will load some weight on here in a second, but there is a stopper pin here for safety that you guys can remove. I do want to show you the seat height, how much you can adjust this. So this would be the first rung. You can go right about there, and then all the way back for the hack squat. I think for me, maybe something like that. Of course, just kind of mess with it and see what's most comfortable. Definitely could use some sort of a, if you wanted to, I don't have any back issues, but if you wanted to put some sort of like an ab mat or some sort of cushion there, you certainly could do that too. I like whenever I'm doing a leg press, I almost kind of get my feet in a position as if I was doing a body weight squat. But here, I'll just pull this stopper pin out. If you wanted to, there are 3 rungs here to actually lock yourself out. Then if you want to engage the machine, you push out, it disengages. Now from here, this is probably, you know, I'm probably gonna go, just to make it more realistic, what I would do, I'd probably go up, maybe something like that. Let's try this out. Look how incredibly low you can get here. This I love because I feel totally comfortable. Granted, there's no weight on here yet, but I love this stretch I have out of my hamstrings. And from here, I can really push out and even activate the glutes a little bit here too, and then finishing off with some quadriceps as well. But I just love this range of motion, very comfortable. I could see if this was shorter and narrower, that would be an issue. It'd be something like that, and that would not be cool. So the fact that I can get nice and wide, you know, and still get extremely low, not even close to touching it. For the upright press, upright leg press, this feels great. Also had my wife just jump on this, and she actually thought this thing was really cool. That was the first thing she said, is like, this feels really good. So for whatever it's worth, I think this, I'll just kind of a spoiler, this is probably where this thing shines. Now let's see what happens with the hack squat. We'll load weight on here in a second. All right, now we're gonna try the hack squat, and I'll show you guys this. Now I'm 6 foot for reference, and if you wanna get maximum depth, you wanna lower this down as low as it can. I'm gonna tighten this up a little bit. So there's a little wiggle, but like I said, when you're performing this, you don't really notice it. Then we're gonna drop this thing back. I'm gonna change up the foot pad a little bit, just because if you didn't see what I did earlier, I have all the weight sitting on the actual push pin, so it's at a full straight 90. Just in case it's not meant to do that, I wanna show you the very first hole that you can put it through, which would be this one. And I think, honestly, the other two, putting it lower, I don't see much of a purpose for it personally, but this is where, if you're not at straight 90, you'd look something like this. We'll pull this stopper out, because you'll see we're not gonna need it. Okay, I'm gonna get to a nice low position if I can, and you notice right here that being 6 foot, this thing's at the lowest setting, I really can't get full depth. I mean, it's not horrible. I'm still like right there, but if you're a taller person, I think you're gonna be fine. If you're 6 foot and below, I think you're gonna be a little limited to what you would like, which is a little bit deeper range of motion. So to me, that definitely was not cool. It's the first thing I noticed when I tried it when I was sitting over there when I first assembled it. But if I go ahead and do put it to full 90 degrees, where I'm resting all the weight on the pull pin, you'll see you get a little bit more range of motion. So I'm a little bit lower. So this is actually much nicer. That little extra degrees made a big difference. So my big suggestion with this thing is that you'd want to put this thing at flush 90. Now something you may notice, I'll get another close-up shot of this, is that when I'm going up and down, there's this little slight like wavy effect where the machine kind of is shaking. Almost feels like there's something going out the rollers. You feel it more than anything, but it's not, again, not a huge deal, not a game breaker type of thing, but it's something you feel where there's just kind of like slight bumpy ride. I'm not sure what's really causing it. Now we'll do the third exercise, which is the calf raise. You have about 3 different holes here to adjust to your preference. I think the middle hole was like my favorite. Actually, let's go number 3 right there. And you could do this a few different ways. So you could do something where you're upright like this, maximizing this hack squat pad. I actually think this is the best. This feels the most natural. It feels like you're getting a nice even flexion and extension. I know I keep emphasizing this, but this is at the 90-degree mark. When I went down in the first hole in this thing, it felt a little off, like I wanted to come up higher. So this is, again, the preferred setting. I know I keep saying this, but I basically would not mess with this foot pad. I would leave it straight up at 90 the whole time with all these exercises. Okay, now I want to show you the seated version. I'm just going to show this to you guys in real time to show you, how quick you can kind of adjust stuff. Again, for better or for worse, even though stuff doesn't feel like it's commercial grade quality, it's also lighter, so it's easier to kind of take things on and off. It's not super heavy and bulky. All right, so from this position, now this is where you get a problem. Right here, this actually feels the best. You notice I'm hitting the top of the machine. So this is where you kind of have to, if you want to do the seated version, you have to lower this at least on that first hole. And this allows you to get that full range of motion. So while it does allow you to kind of do this and not back out, it doesn't feel as good. It's just something about that little angle. Now you will feel this, and you could do something like a slight bend in your knee and do something like this. This feels very comparable. I remember at the gym, those little machines, that was just calf raise machines. So it actually feels a little bit different. But if I was gonna go with a calf raise on this thing, depending how much I wanna mess with it, I would probably go with the hack squat version, laying on my back. That feels the most natural, and I feel like really hits the calves the best. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and let's load some weight on this and see what happens, okay? Just wanna give you guys some comments on just what 45 pounds feels like. It's comfortable, it's not too difficult, but with high repetitions, you'd feel that for sure. All right, we got 4 plates on here. That's tough, but still doable. All right, we are putting on 6 plates on each side. So we're looking at 540 pounds. You still got some space here. We'd have plenty of space if these are all thin plates. Let's see what this feels like. Tough. This is tough for me at least. You probably could have saw that a little bit of flex in the stand, but otherwise felt good. I'm not gonna go much heavier than that, but you still got a lot of play with this. I think for most people's weight needs, this thing is gonna be fine. All right, so wrapping all this up, guys, this was one of these products in reviews where I had minimal expectations. They got kind of high, they went low, went high again for a number of reasons. And I know I've said this many times in the video. What really saved this thing for me was propping this thing up higher at 90 degrees. Utilizing any of these holes, at least for me personally, being 6 foot and just throwing the dimensions out there for you guys, this would have felt a little weird for a variety of exercises, really almost all the exercises, to be honest with you. Minus the seated leg press, you can make it work in one of the holes, but point is, this being at 90 degrees was a giant thing for me. I think when it comes down to things like the calf raise, I got a lot of other calf raise stuff at my disposal. I could see myself using this because of the ease just kind of setting this up. This was easier to set up and kind of get into position versus say using my Force USA leg press thing over there, which that's something to kind of consider, guys. I think most people are considering this or a leg press. I love that leg press, but as I already said at the start of the video, I'm just not using it that much, and it's just so big. And the hard thing is it's kind of hard to even offload or even give away because it's such a big piece, not just for people possibly wanting it, but also just disassembling it and assembling it. This thing, conversely, or things like this are so small and, like I said, very lightweight. You could offload it. Worst case scenario, if you really hated it, no one wanted, you could throw it away fairly easy. that thing is just a tank of a machine. But when it comes to the other two exercises, seated leg press, I think feels really good. I'm gonna be trying this out for a period of time and see how this tests in the long term. So definitely kind of check back, or I'll pin a comment down below if anything negative happens. But I actually do like the way this thing feels. So I'm gonna be keeping it for sure, primarily using it for the seated leg press. Like I said, this is at 90 degrees. The hack squat is doable. It definitely is saved, because of this. So I'll be using that, but I think that was maybe more of a kind of a weak point. As I said too, if you are below 6 feet, this is gonna be a problem or a deal breaker, I think, for using this thing for a hack squat. If you're a taller person, say above 6 foot, I think you can still get some nice, decent depth with this. And again, not to mention all the other benefits of this machine. The other attractive thing, if I didn't say it, it wasn't too obvious already too, is this thing is in that budget-ish territory. I think it's $8.99, almost the same as Force USA, and I keep saying this too. I don't know for sure, but these seem like almost the exact same thing. So I'd say one versus another, it really comes down to branding, or maybe the foot plate size might be bigger on this one. I'm not totally sure. It's definitely shaped a little bit differently, but just the design of this is slightly different. Otherwise, those machines are exactly the same. And there are some other companies that make compact leg presses, I believe, as well. But for the most part, these are kind of a growing thing within the field. I'm sure they're gonna maybe grow and evolve and develop here. That's all I got though, guys. You'll be seeing me on this thing, no doubt, in the future months, messing around with this. If you wanna save some money on this, 5% off, use the code HYBRIDRESISTANCE. As always, if anything breaks or I have issues with this, I will drop a comment down below in the description box. Again, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. I will see you on the next one.